Well, it's been a while since we did one of these. Over a whole year since the last time I talked about the Land of the Lustrous, in fact. Last time I was with this series on the channel, I had discussed the 100th chapter, its meanings, and my predictions for the future of the series. And since then, we've only had 5 chapters released before this weekend. This is my favorite manga of all time, so of course I have been keeping up and following the news of the series closely, though I haven't talked about it on this channel since I reviewed chapter 100. The release schedule is more of a mess than it's ever been. We just had a long hiatus that turned out to end shorter than originally expected, and from what we know, there will be a chapter next month too. So it's good to see that Ichikawa is still clearly planning on what to do next, and those plans sure as hell seem to be working too, as she just came back with one of the best chapters in the entire manga, both in terms of her beautiful artwork and her beautiful storytelling. This isn't going to be the usual chapter review, as I know many reviewers tend to recap chapters front to end, which I expect people to have already read them if they're going to be watching a review, so I'm mostly just going to be sharing my initial thoughts and feelings about the chapter, as it really does seem like the end is nearing for this wonderful series, and I still don't think I've been able to fully process or come to terms with that. We've known since about 2 chapters ago, which is a really long time ago for both us and the characters, that the sun is about to consume the earth. And from last chapter, we discover Foss plans to stay and be burned away with the remnants of humanity, and in this chapter we get the elaboration from Foss themselves in wonderfully written exchanges between Foss and Pitapat and the rocks. Foss knows that humanity is to be extinguished with all of its remains on Earth, including them, getting rid of the suffering caused by human nature as a gift for life moving forward. However, Pitapat and the stones wonder if they raise the human in Foss with kindness, perhaps that human can grow to be kind as well. A somewhat childish but pure wish, one that even Foss admits to want, but knowing all too well that humans are far too complicated to be able to do such a thing. There are a few moments between the characters and Foss that really did get to me, particularly because it's been so long since we've seen a new installment in the series, and yet it feels so much more like a preparation to say farewell than it feels like a welcome back. A particular in-between is when one of the rocks tells Foss that they can't leave yet because Foss hasn't finished telling them the story of humanity yet, and in response, they just apologize before sending them away on the moon rocket. We get a moment alone with Foss right after that, which is the highlight of the entire chapter for me, where we see Foss truly alone for the first time, the only remaining life form on Earth. And yet there's a sense of relief to Foss, almost like there's some pride in letting this be the end of this long, painful, and reflective journey. For a while now, we've seen Foss portray heavy feelings of regret and having a lot of time to reflect on their time with the stones, and once they're all alone now, they say, "It's all over now. I've never felt relief like this before. Yes, it will be alright. You have me, humanity. You're a fearful thing, but don't worry. Until the end, I'll be with you." And this is Foss speaking to the last piece of their original self left in them. The last piece of the original Foss. The last piece of humanity left in the world. Like a way to comfort themselves in the end. Except that isn't the end for Foss, as the stones make the ship return to take that piece of Foss away with them, so that they too can leave Earth with them to a world free of humans. And Foss trusts them, so they leave with them. With that happening, that opens up new possibilities. This being the last remaining piece of the original Foss would mean there's a chance that the old Foss would be making a return with their old youthful, loving, stubborn, and of course childish personality, and with it being such a small piece, some memories remaining too, which I think is very interesting. I remember talking in my last video on the series about this new beginning for Foss when they met the first rock to finally live and grow in a community free of labor and suffering, a community that can love and accept Foss for who they are rather than constantly buttering up their changes, and that seems to be the case in an even bigger sense now. That piece taken away is Foss. That is the Foss they know and love, and that we know and love. This is the original, sweet little gem we were once with. It's not exactly the same, of course, due to, size and physicality, but now they're just one with the other rocks. The actual piece of the original self, going to a new place free of humanity, free of suffering, and free of pain, free of everything that we've seen Foss have to endure for literal centuries now, for the entirety of the series now. For once, it seems like our little gem is finally getting their break. It's funny too because I saw someone predict this on Twitter a long time ago, and it appears that they were right. Shout out to the person that predicted this because you might just be Haruko Ichikawa herself. There are new doors opened up thanks to this chapter, but those doors do lead to very short hallways, as this seems to be the last major setup for the finale of the series. We seem closer to the end than ever before, and yet, for once, things feel very light. Things feel hopeful. Knowing Ichikawa, that could always change, but for once in a very long time, it appears that Foss has found a new beginning, a new rebirth, but this time as the person they originally were. The person they were always meant to be. A person that can be cherished with people they cherish too. And I find that so beautiful and so moving. And I'm more excited than ever for the next chapter, even though I know the end is right around the corner. I would like to say too that this chapter features some of Ichikawa's best artwork. The spread where Foss tells their piece that they'll be with them to the end while the waves crash through and the sun gets ready to blow is beautifully horrifying, and yet strangely calming at the same time. Such disaster and chaos feels so comforting and ambient here. Her use of black shading is second to none. Her artwork is second to none. She is one of the best artists I've seen in manga, and I'm glad to get the pleasure of experiencing and viewing the unique things she's able to put to paper. And I'm thankful to her for this story as a whole. It's been quite a while since I got to talk about HNK here, which is sad to say because there aren't going to be many more chances for me to do that before it's all over. We have another chapter next month and I'm very excited for it. I might do a video for that chapter too, but it still all depends on, everything else. This chapter was a lot to take in, a lot to digest, and just a lot to talk about, which is why I made this video. I know this arc has caused a lot of discourse, but I've loved it since it began, and this chapter is one of the biggest highlights for me and solidifies this possible final stretch as maybe the best I've seen in manga. If the last few chapters stick the landing, that is. But with how things have been going, I don't think I have any reasons to doubt Ichikawa. I appreciate the effort and work she's put into the series, and I think that's important. She gives many surprises, and I'm surprised to say right now that I actually think we might actually get a happy ending. I hope her health is now well coming back, or that she's finally beaten her PS5 addiction, and that she can deliver a wonderful ending to my favorite manga ever, and a series that I am very passionate and in love with. I haven't been with it as long as others have, but it really has affected me in ways not many other works of art have, and to that, I can only thank Ichikawa for. That's all I've got to talk about for this video. It's a bit of a shorter one and more general, but I mostly just wanted to get my raw thoughts out, which is why I didn't write a script for this video, unlike others. I want to thank you all for sticking by for this journey and hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe for more content like this. I do plan on talking about this series at least a few more times before the end comes, so stay tuned for that. As always, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye and have a good day.